Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back once again for episode 36 with more Cricket Faff from the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast. Well, we've got a new format going here, Stu, I reckon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Just the two of us again.
Just the two of us.
Actually, it's three. Because we got Stu alongside me. My name's Charlie, as you already know. And over in the corner, producer Nick, pushing buttons, twiddling knobs.
Hey, man.
How you going?
Yeah, good. Happy to be here.
Getting us going.
Back in the podcast saddle.
Yeah. We got rid of Hamish. We decided that we'd had enough of him.
We had a word.
We had a word. We thought that there's too much Solomons in Kingsgrove Sports. And
Well, sometimes our lives take us on to bigger and better things, and that's Hamish has moved on to bigger and better things.
Unfortunately, he's just busy today, that's all.
No,
yeah,
he's just busy.
he will be back. We promise he'll be back. And Hamish, we miss you.
Unless you guys don't want him back.
Let us know.
If you don't want him back, let us know at our social. You want to go through the socials? You want me to do that today?
What a segue. What a segue.
He's not good. Just let us know.
Let us know. Hashtag Hamish or no Hamish. You can get us on Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, on Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport, on Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports. I've probably done them in the wrong order for the
I don't think you have.
for
I
the
think
graphic.
It's good.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. Use that hashtag KSC Podcast. We've also got KSCpodcast.com.
Yep.
There we go. I definitely didn't miss any out this time.
There's the RSS feed. There's a link in the YouTube description. You got our RSS feed if you're an advanced podcast user and you want to add our podcast to your platform.
Definitely. Well, we've got a few topics to get through today.
Yeah.
Just a brief overview. We've got the WNCL final. We've got the Women's International T20 Tri-Series. We've got the Australian Cricket Awards. We'll have a little bit of potential chat about Formula One if we can just nudge it in there somewhere.
Nudge it back.
Nick might be able to get...
I'd left a spot in the run sheet for miscellaneous, whatever you want to talk about.
There might be even a spot there for your Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, the season's over.
We discussed it in the last podcast.
No.
Yeah.
I heard that. Now, one thing we didn't discuss in the last podcast as well is the end of the England-South Africa Test Series, so maybe we can push that in a bit later on.
For sure.
Okay, so let's hook into it. WNCL final, Stu, what's happening?
So, depending on where you're listening to us from, you're either happy if you're from Western Australia or disappointed if you're from New South Wales. So, New South Wales took on Western Australia in the final of the WNCL. So that's the Women's National Cricket League. It's a 50-over competition. They play for the Ruth Preddy Cup. So it was the 24th. I think it was the 24th edition of it. New South Wales has made every single final.
Wow.
They were looking for their 21st or 22nd title, and Western Australia was looking for their first one. So it's at the wonderful North Sydney Oval. Western Australia won the toss and batted. And did a fine job. They ended at 2 for 31. Were in trouble early. Lost a couple of quick wickets early. Lost their skipper, Chloe Paparo. Second ball to Renee Farrell. Then Heather Graham again to Renee Farrell as well. Went soon after, but had some good partnerships. Basically based around Nicole Bolton, who batted really well. Ended on 67. 67 of 107, so she did a great job. So they got them to 237, which was a good score, respectable score, probably sort of a par score. Renee Farrell was fantastic with the ball in her final game for New South Wales, her final professional game. She ended up with 4 for 33, so a brilliant effort from Renee. Supported well by young Stella Campbell. Good young tall quick bowls nice and sharp. She ended with 3 for 55 of her 9, so good effort from those two. New South Wales fielded well. It was a decent effort. So 231 was a good score, but something that could be chased down. New South Wales started well. The two openers got off to a good start. Rachel Treneman and Maddie Dark got off to a good start.
64 opening partnership.
64 opening partnership before Rachel got out. She ended on 37. Maddie ended on 36. And then West Australia, they bowled really well. Their spinners did a great job, just tightened it up. New South Wales just sort of struggled to rotate the strike a little bit in the middle, put themselves under a little bit of pressure, and unfortunately, it was a little bit too much for them. in the end, or bowled out for 189. So first title to Western Australia. Player of the final was Nicole Bolton, who, along with her 67, ended with 3 for 34.
Good effort, that.
From off spinners. She was also named player of the tournament. Fantastic player. Nicole, obviously a lot of international experience, played with Australia for a long time, so she was just a class above.
Very much. Do you think that's where ultimately they won the game, or New South Wales lost the game, as those middle overs where they got
it was stuck? Probably those middle overs where New South Wales got a little bit stuck, just couldn't quite turn the strike over, hit the fielders probably a little bit too often, and just couldn't get those, just needed those simple ones and twos rather than trying to hit the boundaries all the time. So it was a good job from Western Australia. They tightened it up. They hung tough all day, but. Having said that, it is a fantastic effort from New South Wales again to make another final. The majority of this tournament for everybody was played without their big name stars. So sort of only all the Aussie players were sort of only available for half the tournament. So New South Wales had 7 debutants this season, which is obviously a massive number.
Yeah.
In the current side, there's a lot of teenagers in the team.
Yeah.
So to get to a final is big, and not only the fact that obviously they didn't have their Australian players, they lost a lot of players as well in the off season that sort of went to other states to get more opportunities. So the depth was really tested, and obviously if you have a look at the side, having so many teenagers in a team is obviously going to make it tough, but
it is. But that's how they get that experience.
That's how they get that experience. So but you'd sort of think if you're going to play 7 debutants and you've got half a team made up of teenagers, you're thinking that you're not probably going to make a final. You would think that the other sides would be a little bit strong for them, but the teenagers really stepped up. They played well, and it's a good sign for the future that obviously, like you said, a season under their belt, all that big game experience.
Yeah.
Again, here another season, they can hopefully look to push on and get back into another final and hopefully take it out this time.
Yeah, I think it stands them in good stead for the future. Obviously, if you stick together as a cohesive unit and grow together, that's conducive to success.
Yep.
I think we've seen that at all levels of all sports, really.
Yeah.
I think it was Allan Hansen, wasn't it, who said you don't win anything with kids, and then he got proven completely wrong the next year by Manchester United.
You never know. Yeah. So obviously, great credit to the New South Wales coaching staff. So Dom Thornley took over the coaching reins this season, and he's done a good job to get such an inexperienced team into the final. So great job from him. Obviously, congratulations to Western Australia for winning their first WNCL title. They've got a good team. Again, that's sort of a team that's sort of grown together a little bit. They played a lot of cricket together, and now they got the rewards. Obviously, really helpful to have a player like Nicole Bolton in the team, and played all the season and proved what a good player she is. Western Australia had an interesting season. The fact that they've actually had two coaches. So Lisa Cotley was the coach for most of the season, but then she actually got appointed as the England women's national coach. So she's obviously off doing the preparations for the World Cup, and they got Michael Dighton in, former Tasmanian player, and he took over for the second half of the season and got them to a title. So good effort from Western Australia. Obviously, we've got to give a big shout out to Renee Farrell. She's a Kingsport ambassador, but she's obviously been a fantastic player for not only Australia, but for obviously New South Wales for a long time, but she also played for Western Australia and for the ACT. She has been superb in her career, played over 100 matches for Australia in all the formats, is a Ashes hat-trick taker. Look that up on YouTube. It's a good watch. She's been a fantastic player all throughout her career. Again, finishing off in style, taking 4 wickets in her final game. So congratulations to Renee on a wonderful career, and enjoy retirement.
Well done, Renee. And obviously your sister's playing in the game as well. She'll be pretty gutted with the result. But
yeah, look, I mean, the girls were disappointed because you don't like to get to a final and like to lose. But I think they had good perspective on it, which was good to see. You know, you go into these finals and you want to win, but I think the coaching staff did a good job in sort of saying, you know, giving them some sort of, you know, perspective on where they came from, and you know, like I said, to get there with 7 debutantes, a lot of teenagers, you know, players playing in their first full season of domestic cricket, you know, full-time domestic cricket. So they've done a wonderful job. So, but yeah, no, Sarah Bolwell, and was hitting them nicely. Possibly got maybe a slightly dodgy LBW decision, but I am probably slightly biased. But you know, she may have nicked it. Anyway, so
you were giving it that from the sideline.
I was thinking, no, that's not it. But anyway, So good job from her. Another good season for her. So I mean, it just proves how good New South Wales is. I think if you look through most of the teams in the domestic tournament, you can find a New South Wales player playing for you know, at least one New South Wales player in every other team. I think possibly maybe South Australia is the only one that doesn't have it. That may have been why they came last.
Maybe.
And only won one game.
Maybe.
Just saying, I don't know. So yeah, you know, I mean, obviously New South Wales is the powerhouse of the domestic competition, and they're sending players here, there, and everywhere. So there's a couple of New South Wales players in the Western Australian team as well. So yeah, New South Wales doing a good job, and hopefully looking forward to another big season next year.
Absolutely. Well, we'll obviously keep an eye out through the season, and give you regular updates on the podcast as well. Did you agree with the choice for player of the match?
Yeah. Yep. There wasn't too many other standouts when you score 67 in a final. Really sort of control your team's innings and set them up, and then take 3 for with the ball. Emma King did a good job. She took 3 for 28 as well. Possibly could have been the other option, but Nicole was a standout for player of the final.
Very good. Excellent. Well, congratulations once again to Western Australia, and good luck to all teams for next year. But obviously, we're going to keep our bias, I think, and go for New South Wales, I reckon.
Of course. Yep. Sorry.
And why not? Next topic that we've got, the Women's International T20 Tri-Series.
Yep.
What's going on there? Who's playing?
So, that's been run and won. So that was a good lead up between a good warm up for the World Cup. Australia, India, and England played in a Tri-Series. Just recently, good games. So Australia and India made it to the final, with Australia winning, which is obviously always nice to see. So Australia made 6 for 155. Beth Mooney continued to do outstanding things. She was 71 not out. She's in very good form heading into this World Cup. India were on track. I thought India were probably going to get the job done pretty comfortably at one stage. Smitty Mandana up the top. She was hitting them well. She ended up on 66, but I think once she got out, that was pretty much it. And thanks to the bowling effort of Jess Johnson, who took 5 for 12 off her 4, Australia got home by 11 runs. India were bowled out for 144. So good signs for Australia there.
I'm just trying to find it on the screen, so I've got a scorecard in front of me. I just can't find it.
You'll find it somewhere. It was done a little while ago. They probably moved onto the World Cup. There's a couple of World Cup warm-up games coming up. Australia will be playing. I think they're playing South Africa. Possibly tomorrow.
Yeah.
Being Wednesday here.
Yeah, I've got that. So when does the World Cup?
World Cup starts on Friday. Starts on the 21st.
Friday, wow,
Australia take on India at Spotless Stadium. So that will be a big game to start the tournament.
So what's the format? Is there a group stage leading into a finals, or is it straight knockout?
No, there's two groups. There's group A and Group B, and then I'm not sure what happens after the group stages where that goes. I'll have to look up the format. But yeah, 2 groups. So it should be a good tournament. You've obviously got the powerhouses of Australia, India, and England in there. Sort of it's the favourites, but then you've got obviously got the teams like New Zealand. Any team with Sophie Devine in it can be destructive. You've got South Africa who are starting to play some good cricket.
There's a name.
Then you've got some surprise packets. I've noticed, Charlie, you'd be thinking of the Thailand women's cricket team.
Yes, I did not expect to see that in there.
No, I don't think anybody really expected to see Thailand in the team, but they got through the qualifiers and they made it in. So
good on them.
They are overjoyed to be here, obviously, as you would understand. So it'd be interesting to see how they go. Obviously, there's no real expectations on them doing anything decent. But let's be realistic, Charlie.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. But you never know. I mean, T20 cricket is a funny game. They could cause a ball over somewhere. So, so it should be interesting. I think most people are thinking that the winner will come from either Australia, India, or England. Mm-hmm. But then, like I said, you've got New Zealand, who are always dangerous. South Africa, who are playing some good cricket. You got the West Indies, who are currently the defending champions, I think. Because Australia won the last one. But
Australia won the last one.
They won. West Indies won the one previous to that. So they're always dangerous. They're always there and thereabouts. So it should be a good tournament. If they're playing all over the country. So I would encourage you, if there's a game close to you, go down, watch it. You will enjoy it.
There'll be plenty of games in Sydney. I'm just going through the side here. Australia, India.
Yeah, there's games in Sydney. There's games in Perth. There's games in Canberra. There's games in Melbourne. It's here, there, and everywhere. So definitely would encourage you to go out and have a look.
Definitely.
Now, obviously, before that, the Australian Cricket Awards were on.
Right. I detected a little bit of controversy surrounding the Allan Border medal winner.
I think maybe not so much. I think it might have been a bit of a surprise. Yeah.
That's the controversy.
That it was a surprise?
Yeah.
Okay.
In that, obviously we're most likely all aware now that the winner of the Allan Border medal this year was David Warner, who, don't get me wrong, he had 330-something reasons to be very proud of himself v Pakistan.
Yeah.
By his own standards, he would have been very, very disappointed with his Ashes series.
I think by anybody's standards, he would be disappointed in the Ashes series.
Yeah, true. By anyone's standards, he would have been disappointed. So that's, I think, what people are leading to, because the Ashes cricket is so heavily weighted in terms of how it is viewed by the Australian and English cricket publics. The fact that he didn't have a good series there, but he's still gone on to win the Allan Border medal. Well, you could read it that he's had an absolutely stellar rest of the year.
Yes.
Or you could read it that he's played well enough throughout the rest of the year that you can just forget about that. That's just a blip.
Well, I mean, obviously that's generally sort of what happens. I mean, the point system is over the whole year, so it's T20 cricket, one-day cricket, and obviously Test matches. And so look, his World Cup was okay,
decent
enough, not outstanding, but decent enough. Obviously, his home summer was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He scored, he scored runs in that Indian one-day series as well.
Mm-hmm.
He scored 100 in one of the T20 series against Pakistan or Sri Lanka. So the Ashes was horrible and a blip.
Depends on your point of view.
And so, depends. Stuart Broad thought he had an outstanding Ashes series, didn't he?
Well, told you, Stuart, to listen to me, didn't I?
He was very glad that, happy that he played all Test matches too. So he won by a point over Steve Smith. Now, I think what cost Steve was the fact that his new best friend, Marnus Labuschagne, had a great home series. Because he didn't bat enough.
We'll run through the list of winners in a second. Marnus Labuschagne actually came out with Male Test Player of the Year.
So he's a Test Player of the Year,
yeah. Which hell of an achievement.
Yes.
I mean, you came in as a substitute, the first ever substitute in Test cricket, in the Lord's Test, wasn't it? After Steve Smith took that blow to the head, and then Labuschagne himself took a blow to the head very early on. And I think I mentioned in a previous podcast that I thought, oh, gee, this guy's not going to last long. I'll watch until the wicket falls, and then 3 hours later, I still hadn't gone to bed.
And you kept watching.
And I think I just gave up at the tea break and thought, right, I've got to work tomorrow.
Well, look, you've alluded to a point system that I'm not familiar with. Is that how some of these awards are determined? Are these chosen by a committee?
So most of them are peer voted.
Right.
So it's like, I think there's like a 3-2-1 basis after every game. the Allan Border Medal and the Belinda Clark Medal, which we also mentioned, which is, of course, won by Elise Perry, is also voted on by umpires and the media, I think, as well, get involved in that one too.
Okay.
So, I mean, that may be where David got some extra points in terms of getting him over the line from Steve Smith. So, like the media or the umpires.
Yeah.
So depending.
No,
on
I just meant like you think you got some extra points from, because you said media, peers, umpires.
Yep.
Like if there was a specific one of those that you. No,
I don't think there's no sort of necessarily more weighting than the others, but it just sort of depends on how those particular people voted.
Yeah, and you think that one group of them may have voted
possibly
for one more than others, right?
Possibly.
Okay.
Again, I mean, especially sort of looking at the home, like if you look at the home series, obviously, like Steve Smith would have got a lot of votes for the Ashes series, but the fact that he didn't really get a big opportunity to bat in the Test series at home meant that he sort of probably wasn't really getting any points.
Old mate Marnus.
Yeah. Marnus has cost him. He's taking his batting position at number 3. Yeah. And
Plymouth
and 2, he's taking votes away from him.
Plymouth's finest. Plymouth's finest import. There you go. Got to get Devon Cricket in there somewhere.
Fair enough, right, yeah.
All right, well, why don't let's run through the list of winners then. The male one-day international player of the year, Aaron Finch.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Yep.
Female one-day international player of the year, Alyssa Healy.
Fair enough.
Hall of Fame induction, Sharon Tredrea.
Yep.
Tredrea. Sorry, beg your pardon. Sorry, I'm terrible at pronunciation.
So obviously, former Aussie player. Reportedly bowled at around 80 miles an hour.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Gee,
that's sharp.
That's very sharp.
That's sharp. That is very sharp.
Hard and fast.
That is hard and fast. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Just to explain the joke, we've been doing a bit of Tony Gregg off air because I've gone out this week.
And here he goes.
I've gone and bought myself a new pair of Julius Milos. I'm not going to lose any cracks.
What is that?
Shout out to the 12th man.
Yes, Billy Birmingham. We'd love to have you as a guest one day.
Oh, wouldn't we ever? Jesus, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it?
Oh boy.
We'll continue this conversation in a second. Let's keep going through the winners. Stu, Betty Wilson, Young Cricketer of the Year.
Taylor Valamic, very exciting. Again, another young quick bowler. So yeah, watch her in the World Cup. She will be good to watch.
Excellent. Bradman, Young Cricketer of the Year.
Where's Agar?
Mm-hmm.
Ashton's brother.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he wants to be known as Wes Agar, not just.
He does want to be.
Ashton's brother.
Was his brother, so he's currently playing in South Australia.
Excellent,
doing a good job.
Yep. Male Test Player of the Year, we've already touched on. Marnus Labuschagne. Community Champion Award.
Now this one we're very proud of.
We
must talk about this one. This goes out to one of the best humans of all time, Kareem Hall. Obviously, used to work here. Yes, she's a Kingsport ambassador, captain of the Hobart Hurricanes, but she is a super person doing some great work down in Tasmania. She has written a book, which is great. Sort of speaking to 35 great female athletes from all different eras. But she's also done all the illustrations in the book. Kareem's a fantastic artist.
Wow.
Brilliant. So the book is called Victress.
Yes, that's
right. Yeah, I better get that right. I believe it is out on the 20th of February. So fantastic work from Kareem.
Victress, I thought that was
I think some of the proceeds of that is going to go to the Kindness Factory, which is Kareem's involved with, which is also set up by another one of the world's greatest humans in Kath Koshal. If you don't know Kath's story, look her up. It's a hell of a story, and she's doing fantastic work in spreading the message of kindness all around the world. So they do a great job there at the Kindness Factory. Kareem's really involved in that. So very deserving of this award. We're super proud of Kareem, so that was really great to see.
Yeah, but well done, Karina, and perhaps next time she's got some time up here in Sydney, we can get her on and push the book.
Just saying that to Stu, man.
That would also be fantastic.
Corinne, if you're watching, come hang out with us.
Listening, let us know. We'll have you on.
Be in touch.
Absolutely.
You know where we are. You know exactly where we are. Next winner, Female Domestic Player of the Year.
Molly Strano.
Male Domestic Player of the Year.
This is a shock. No, just kidding. Sean Marsh.
How's his pull shot going this year,
mate? I don't know. It's probably going well. His cover drive's doing well. Look, he's still He's still one of the. But the reason why he got the award is because obviously even his peers still think he's one of the best players in the competition. Actually, they think he is the best player in the competition.
Well, he's won it this year.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame induction.
Craig McDermott.
Oh, beautiful piece of bowling, Craig McDermott.
Billy the Kid, my favourite bowler growing up as a young bloke.
It's messed up his average, Tony.
Great to see the big red-headed Queenslander running
bowling
fast.
What's the time period on these Hall of Fame inductions? Like, when were these guys playing?
McDermott played in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Debuted as a very young man, 18-year-old, I think, against the West Indies.
Right.
A couple of times I got to be a net bowler in the nets. I think Craig McDermott was the coach there.
Yeah,
as well.
he was a bowling coach.
He's friendly bloke.
He was a bowling coach.
Cool.
Friendly enough anyway.
Friendly enough, yeah. He was a bowling coach for Australia for a period of time. Great fast bowler for Australia. 291 Test wickets.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and did he ever lose an Ashes series? I don't know that he did he?
Probably not unless he was on.
Unless he was in 86, 87.
Or 85 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well done, Craig McDermott. Female International 2020 Player of the Year, Alyssa Healy.
Yep. So
no real surprise.
Look, she's kind of a little bit out of form in that T20 Tri Series. She did struggle a little bit, but Midge being Midge, she should be fine. Not gonna bother too much. She'll come out and have a big World Cup.
Male International 2020 Player of the Year, David Warner. Well done.
Be a small sample size that I would have thought for Australia, wouldn't it?
Huh?
Yeah, we don't play too many T20 internationals, do we?
No, not really.
No.
But yeah,
so he scored 100. So he probably.
Yeah.
Probably
I mean, if they have a category for it and you got to name one, even if your sample size is small.
Yeah.
And obviously we touched on it earlier. Belinda Clark Award, Elise Perry, who continues to just get better and better and better.
Yep.
And the Allan Border Medal winner, David Warner. We let him out of my pocket just for a couple of hours to go to the award ceremony.
I don't know how he's got over that, to be honest.
To be honest, I don't think he's given it a single thought.
Probably not. That's probably how.
That's why I've got to keep reminding.
That's probably why he's continued on. Or maybe that spurred him on. It's just I cannot,
Speaking
I've reached the lowest of the low. I can only go up from here.
Speaking of spurring on, it makes me wonder, because I've not looked at much discussion following David Warner's awards, but it makes you wonder if it'll be any good at getting the mass public, social media public, who have been staunchly, vehemently against him. If it'll help them to come around at all, or if it's just going to continue to fuel
I reckon that might have just put
rile them
up. I think they just put some fuel on it. I reckon for some of them, there would have been some that just would have lost a bit of their hatred for him and just sort of settled down a bit. But I reckon it just would have stoked the fire a bit more. Just put a bit more petrol on it.
Reconvene in about 12 months' time after next summer, and if he's had a good summer of run scoring, the controversies will not be completely forgotten, but they'll almost be forgiven, and they'll just be thinking of him of how many runs.
Yeah. Well, look, it's going to get brought up again very soon because Australia is in South Africa for some white ball cricket, some T20 and some one-day stuff, and he's there, and I'm sure it's probably going to get mentioned because this is the first time that they've been back.
And it seems like anytime it comes up against him, he's got a really great sense of humor about it, which I think is the best thing you can do in a situation like that.
Well, I think this whole situation, what Australians, particularly Smith, Warner and Bancroft and the whole team, I guess, have got in very early and said, look, you're going to hear a lot about this. There's going to be a lot of comments on this. And they've gone, all right, well, we've expected this. Water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
And they're not letting it get to them in the way that perhaps the mental disintegration that Australians have given out in the past has an effect on other teams. So they've been very, very mentally strong with it. And in a way, they should be commended for the way that they've handled the fallout, if definitely not for what actually happened.
No, so it'll be interesting to see how they go with that. Speaking of South Africa,
yes.
They've had
bit of upheaval.
Well, they've had a lot of upheaval lately. But Faf du Plessis has stepped down as their tested T20 captain.
Yeah, see, before
Quentin de Kock had already taken over as the one-day captain.
Yeah, before the last show, the Test series with England had finished. It did finish 3-1, as you said it would. I was a little bit more, well, let's see how we go. That finished before the last episode, so we were going to talk about that on that, but I was
you didn't make it.
Sorry.
You didn't
so I feel it's a very, very good win for England because we weren't at full strength. Neither was South Africa, I know.
No.
But we...
You're at fuller strength.
Fuller strength. We definitely had a stronger team, and that came out in the wash, obviously. And Joe Root's captaincy obviously improved as the series went on, but that's not the story right now. Faf du Plessis has stepped down as captain of South Africa's Test and T20 sides with immediate effect.
Yep.
35 years old. Will continue playing.
Yep.
Do you think we'll see him on Australian shores again? When are South Africa due here?
I don't know. Look, I think that would that depends on how well Faf's playing. He struggled during that Test series. So, he's got to find some form. I know they picked him in their T20 squad against Australia. So he's going to be playing in that. Obviously Faf is a fantastic player. He's a quality player. So if he can find some form, he needs to. South Africa need him at the moment. They need that experience. They're sort of starting afresh and rebuilding a lot, and so they'll need him. I think they've only got one option as captain
at the moment. Yeah,
and I think it probably is Quinton de Kock.
Yeah,
which would probably put a little bit. That's going to put a bit, obviously, put some pressure on him. In the fact that he's going to have a lot more responsibility. He's done well so far in the T20s. He's batted well. And they played fairly well in those T20s. So.
Can I clarify something as well? Because the last show I did do when we talked about this, who is the coach of the South African team?
Mark Boucher.
Boucher.
Yes, Mark Boucher.
In that show we said Butcher. So I'm thinking the guy, the left-hander that used to open the batting for England.
Sorry, no, it's not Mark Butcher. No.
That's why I said,
Boucher.
What would Mark Butcher know about this situation?
Sorry, Mark Boucher. No. Yeah, no, it's Boucher. Mark Boucher. Yes, the outstanding wicketkeeper from South Africa. Not Mark Butcher, the left-hander, the former left-handed opening batsman from England.
Yes, no, that's why I got confused at the time. I was like, what would Mark Butcher know about this? And you're like, well, he's the coach. Like, oh, is he?
I didn't pick up on that. Sorry.
Maybe it was just me mishearing the pronunciation. But
possibly.
That's why I...
Or I could have just said Butcher.
You might have. Who knows?
We'll have to go back and review the tape.
Butcher. I'm going to have to go and get some steaks.
Yeah.
So South African cricket is in a period of transition. They have been for a few years now. How long, realistically, can you say that they are in transition before you go, right, well, they're just not that good anymore?
Look, I don't think they're much longer. If they can get all their players on the park, they're decent. They're a decent team. You've got to get Rabada on the park. They've obviously lost. They've lost Philander now as well.
It's not the way that he would have wanted to leave the Test arena. He had a bit of an injury in the first innings as well.
Look, they've probably got some time. Hopefully, they've got some decent guys coming in. Look, they may make Dean Elgar captain of the Test team, but he's only averaging high 30s.
I'm going to say
he's trying to get a bit more, but so
that's that's probably it's got to be Quinton de Kock, I think, and then Elgar would be a decent vice captain.
Yeah.
But that's the Test series that's gone. They've been playing some 2020s against England as well. I think South Africa won the first game, England won the second game, and then the third game, which has only happened in the last few hours as we record this, England chased down 220 something. Owen Morgan going ballistic.
Morgan and I think Josh Butler got some.
Josh Butler and Bairstow got a few too. But Owen Morgan, I think he hit something like 7 sixes in his 22 ball 50 something.
Fair enough. Can whack him.
He can
whack him, that bloke.
Not bad for an Irishman as well.
Yeah. Shouldn't you have won that series 3-0 though?
England.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But
didn't you have a monumental collapse in the first game when you lost by a run?
This is England we're talking about.
You did. It's not possible.
Look at him having a dick.
You did.
Yeah, no, that's what England do.
Yeah.
We've said this before. England could pull a collapse out of absolutely nowhere.
And you did. Oh, boy.
And we continue to do so. There's a T20 World Cup coming up as well, isn't there? And
So that's in October, November this year. So
and where is that being held?
It's happening right here in Australia.
Right here in Australia. Wow.
Yeah.
Aren't we just the epicenter of world T20 cricket at the moment.
Correct. We are the place to be.
And speaking of T20 cricket in Australia, I don't think we at any stage have mentioned that Sydney Sixers went on and won the BBL.
Correct. So the good thing about that was that there was a game. Obviously, there was a lot of rain around in Sydney.
That was ridiculous
last weekend. But they managed to get a game in, which is fantastic. The SCG ground staff did a fantastic job. It was only 12 overs, but I mean, you much rather win a tournament by playing a game than just getting it by washout. Although I'm sure the Sixers would have been happy with a washout anyway.
Yeah.
Sixers got the job done over the Melbourne Stars. Poor Melbourne Stars just cannot win a competition.
They started off so strong in the table too.
Cannot win a competition, those poor blokes.
Yeah, I heard they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, but as much as they could do in a 12-over game.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, those poor blokes just cannot win them. Cannot win.
Oh well, there's always next year, isn't there?
Yeah.
Now, some more cricket-related news that has come out in the last
48 hours.
48 hours. India to play a day-night test in Australia.
Yes. And
Mcdermott likely to host a pink ball test against England.
Yes.
Yep. Two fantastic pieces of news there. Let's start with the day-night game in Australia.
Yeah.
India have sort of famously refused to participate in day-night cricket.
Correct.
Unlike the rest of the
day-night test matches, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Beg your pardon. Day-night test matches. I want to word this in a way that's not going to offend, but why do in the BCCI in particular keep saying, right, well, this is how we're going to do it. You guys do what you want. Because remember when DRS came in and they said, right, well, we'll use it, but not for LBWs because we don't trust Hawkeye.
Well,
okay, that's fine. And then Harbhajan Singh gets triggered first ball to one he absolutely smashed in the middle of a Stuart Broad hat trick. You know, it's things like that.
That's when they go, hang on, no, I think we're going to need to use it.
Yeah, or the notion of karma.
Yes, possibly. Look, obviously, it comes down to finances.
It does,
and
but
financial power.
It just seems silly to me that we've got a world game that every team plays by the same rules.
Yeah,
but India say, well, no, we're not going to do that, and it's like effectively saying Manchester United saying, right, well, we're going to play in the Premier League, but we're going to shoot at a goal that's 50 foot wide and 30 foot tall, and you're going to shoot at a mini goal. One of the little fold-up things that.
Well, this is probably a complicated issue, and we could probably have a whole entire podcast on it.
Maybe,
but it would come. It comes down to the strength of the ICC. So
I'd be interested to get some of the listeners, particularly the subcontinental listeners that we have, to get your views on it. Do you think that the BCCI are correct to have not included India in day-night test matches to begin with?
It also comes down to who's running the BCCI. So currently, Saurav Ganguly is running it. He's obviously got different views on where Indian cricket should be, and he obviously believes that they should be playing day-night cricket. Captain as well, Virat Kohli, is a little bit more in favour of it, so he's
a bit more
willing to give it a go.
Yeah.
It obviously comes down to the fact that obviously India are playing good cricket. They're the number one cricket team in the world, so they're probably a bit more confident going into playing, a day-night game that they could be competitive and they can play it. So it's good that they've said yes. If the game goes well obviously not only in Australia but then in India, I think you'll see more. I think you'll see more of it in India.
Oh, I think you will too. It's a way of rescuing.
If they get good crowds, if they get good TV ratings, that's that'll.
Yeah, it's a way of rescuing Test cricket for the rest of the world.
I do dislike the term rescuing Test cricket. I think poor Test cricket's been on life support for about 30 years. Everybody's been saying it's been dying, but it still keeps going because it is still the best format in cricket.
Well, that's the point. Is that we here sitting here, and even Hamish when he's here, and I'm not sure if Nick would agree, but we all think that Test cricket is the best form of cricket.
Yeah.
Even though it goes for 5 days potentially.
Yeah.
So Nick, as someone who's relatively new to the game of cricket, I guess that when you first came to Australia, you wouldn't have really thought twice, I'm not going to waste 5 days going to a test match when I could go and work and earn some money. Now that the idea of day-night cricket, if that was advertised to you, day-night test cricket, hey, I can go after work. I can watch some cricket. I can learn about this game. It's under lights. There's coloured ball. There's, I don't know. Hopefully they don't bring coloured kit into Test cricket.
God, no, please don't.
Would that, not as an outsider, that's probably the wrong word, but as someone who is new to cricket, would that attract you to a game of Test cricket more than the traditional style?
If you're talking about strictly on the time available during your day versus being able to go in the evening, yeah, absolutely. I think you can say objectively that something that you can do outside of work. If you love cricket but you can't go because you're at work and it's on during the day, yeah, hands down. That does open up a huge avenue for fans to go. Watch that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Is that what's happened in the States? I know you're not massive on baseball, but like for example, because baseball games can go for a while as well.
Yeah, they can.
Do
they do that afternoon into the evening?
I don't know.
No, they're more. You're generally going to go. They're more evening games.
Yeah,
or
every
games.
Yeah. Well, I've been to both actually. So yeah.
Not one that starts in the afternoon and goes into the night. It's generally going to be either day or night games.
Yeah, I understand they won't have multi-day baseball games.
No, not multi. No. But I mean, like you can go to multiple baseball games back to back. They'll play a series when they tend to play game. Like 3 games in a row, like back to back to back, and so it's almost like a test match because you're playing the same team and they go for 6 hours.
Yeah,
they can be very boring.
There's Mobile. I don't actually know if they still have. My hometown had a baseball team for a while there. It was like a not minor league, a professional baseball team, but I don't remember how the grading goes. They're like AAA or AA or whatever they are. It was a lower grade professional team.
Yep.
I went to one of those games that went extra innings, and I think it was like it got up to like 10 or 11 innings.
Yeah.
And it was getting late, and a bunch of people just went home because those can go long.
They can go long.
I remember having discussions with you, Charlie, specifically about just as an American not growing up with cricket, it's a Test cricket. I recognize has a purity because of the way it's got a history that the other formats don't, and the longer format adds another layer of gameplay to the sport. In the sense that you have exhaustion and you have mental exhaustion to deal with, and there's strategy involved with lineups and even being on either side of the ball, score when you have your opportunities to score, and how you strategically make your decisions throughout the whole week. I forget where I was going with that, but other than it's just a difficult. I think it's a difficult game for people who don't have a background with it to really understand.
Yeah, I mean, the running joke when you're trying to explain it to particularly Americans, shall we say, is that this is a game that can go for 5 days, and at the end of it, there's a potential that neither team wins.
Yeah, no, that fired me up the first time you told me that.
What do you mean? There's no overtime?
So you mean it gets to the end of the game and the team with the highest score doesn't win?
Correct.
Well, I just I appreciate now that this is a dual win condition. You have to accomplish 2 things to win the game.
I understand that the Test cricket sort of doesn't fit in. It doesn't fit into modern society, but it's probably another reason why I like it a little bit more.
Yeah, as far as it being like the superior format, I think it's just the original format. So it's the one that I think comes across as the most pure.
Yeah. I think for theatre and pure entertainment, you only have to look at Headingley, Edgbaston 2005.
I'll back you up with that.
And from your point of view, Adelaide 2006-07.
Yeah.
For pure theatre and pure excitement and pure being on the edge of your seat entertainment with cricket, all of those have been Test matches.
Correct.
The World Cup final in 2019 was edge of your seat stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd struggle to pick another 3 or 4 games of one-day cricket where I could have felt the same. Maybe World Cup semi-final 99 when it was Australia v South Africa.
Correct.
But for me, one-day cricket and 2020 cricket for definite just doesn't have that level of theatre.
I can't remember. I couldn't name a T20 game that was.
Well, the only one I can think of is the Brett Lee's final game of his career for the Sixers. But even then, I can't remember who that was against and who he was bowling at. I just know he took 2 wickets, was on a hat trick, and they needed one off the last ball.
So, I mean, the analogy, look, bit of fast foods, it's fine every now and again, but.
Nothing better than a good old steak.
Well, and there's something better than going out to a fancy restaurant and having a full 3-course meal.
Too right.
A 5-course meal.
Or 5-course meal. Yeah, 5-course meal.
I ain't got room for 5 courses anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, India coming to the party and playing a day-night test match in Australia, I think it will be the first of many. I think it's fantastic news. And to see day-night cricket in India one day would be just, take the game to another level, I think.
Yeah.
I think the BCCI will see some profits to that decision as well in more ways than one.
Yep.
Now, we're coming towards the end of our time here for this show. We've got, while we're talking about Indian cricket and icons of Indian cricket, you had a very special visitor recently, didn't you?
We did, yeah. We were very lucky to be visited by the great Sachin Tendulkar. Mm-hmm. Just before that bushfire relief game, he needed a pair of shoes.
Was that pre-announced or did he just rock up?
No, well, it was pre-announced in the fact that I got a phone call in the morning saying that he was coming.
Oh, right.
We found out pretty short notice.
So I knew he was turning up. It wasn't like he just rocked up. So we had a little bit of time to prepare. But yeah, no, he just came in. He was nice and low key. Mm-hmm. No fanfare. Just needed a pair of shoes. We had a nice chat. It was he said it's like 5.5 years since he played in a game. He doesn't get into the nets and face his son.
No, I actually the last time I was a netball at the SCG, it was with England, and I got to the offices there, and because I had Cricket Australia stuff on, someone came up to me and, this is Arjun. Oh, hi, Arjun. And they went, so you work here? I went, no, I'm just here for the netballing. And then someone else who did work there walked in, this is Arjun Tendulkar. And I went, right, now I get it.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
And Arjun is very tall.
Very tall.
Which he must have got from his mother.
Yeah, he's very he's very tall. And pretty quick. So he got a pair of shoes for his son as well. So that was sorted out. So
how was Sachin in terms of as a person? I've heard he's very friendly. He's very humble. Considering his stature in India.
Very quiet. Speaks very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I said, low key, no fuss.
Was happy to interact with.
Pretty much. He sort of didn't want to make too much of a fuss, but we got that photo outside. So
I saw.
It was just nice to have a cricket legend in the building.
Yeah, that's definitely a vibe I got. It's not that he didn't want to interact, but he was just very low key, man. He was just very didn't make a big deal out about himself being here, which was really cool, man. To see somebody of that stature just kind of be chill and just come in and hang
Were
out.
there many wide-eyed customers when he walked in?
No, there wasn't.
Thankfully,
which was probably lucky because obviously I sort of heard some stories of the gentleman that was sort of here looking after him. That he gets bombarded.
I would imagine.
Obviously, sort of back home, he sort of just can't sort of go out and do whatever and.
Yeah.
So
he was here kind of early, so I think he missed where we have bigger rushes of people.
And luckily, obviously, it was the slightly quieter time of the season, so that there isn't sort of people coming in all the time. So he was able to get in without too much bother, which was good.
In out and put the kettle on.
Yeah,
very good.
Pretty much.
Well, that's very special. Just the latest in a long line of big cricket names that have come in through the doors here at Kingsgrove Sports. Mm-hmm. Send more our way.
Yeah.
Send more. Always happy to see them. Alrighty, before we wrap up, we've got a couple of little topics. NRL Nines. Now, I haven't paid any attention to this whatsoever, except I heard on the radio the other day in passing, Parramatta Eels are favourites, is what I heard on Triple M the other day.
Look, to be fair, I've got no idea. NRL Nines for me means nothing.
All right, sorry viewers, NRL Nines means nothing to us.
Look, I mean,
speak to Steve Green or
I reckon he probably wasn't going to be worried about that either because obviously the Roosters are in England basically for the World Club Challenge, so they had their C team in and they got flogged. It's a pre-season tournament. It's a pre-season tournament. Yes, if you win it, you do get a trophy and you do get some cash.
Nick's got the giggles. What's going on over there?
Sometimes I'll do a little reading into what's going on in the sporting world, right? And I'll say, generally speaking, these guys are abreast of anything that's going on in the sports world, right? And even if even if you're not totally into it, you at least know what's going on and can chat about it, right? And I'm sure you do, even with the NRL Nines. But so this past NRL Nines, the first time I'd actually come across it. And I thought the format of, these, you got basically all these NRL teams playing 9-minute halves in this quick little rapid-fire tournament. Very, very cool format for a little preseason tournament. Yeah. So sometimes I'll just put things on our run sheet to organize like the topics for the podcast. I'll just put stuff on there expecting, they'll have a little chat. So this is the first time I can remember I put something on there like we don't care about this.
I can tell you who won. I mean, so the Cowboys won the men's and the Dragons won the women's. So I know who won.
I think there's a bit of we're sort of mirroring the cricket conversation really, in that you're a purist when it comes to 80-minute rugby league games. This is 2020 rugby league effectively.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm sorry.
Look, if you disagree with our point of view, please let us know.
Yeah.
I think it's
whether we read it out
I think it's
or
a cool little format. Just something. I mean, a preseason exhibition tournament thing. It doesn't have any bearing on the rest of the season, does it?
No.
I mean, that's a cool little.
Like I know, I'm sure. I reckon if you spoke to the coaches, I reckon they might almost have. They may not tell you. They may not say it if it's on camera, but just in private, they might have the same viewpoint as me.
Right.
Because obviously, so there were some injury concerns, especially to come out of the Dragons.
For sure.
So they've sort of had some bad injuries leading into the season. Not that can't happen sort of in training or in a trial game, but it's like. It's in the Nines. What does it mean? It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't necessarily have a great bearing on how you're going to play into the regular season. So it's like we've got some serious injuries out of this, which is just going to put us back. So
one topic we do know about though.
Yeah, we can talk quickly about this. Yeah,
bit of Formula One. There's a bit of news that's come out in the last couple of weeks about Formula One. Look, Nick's eyes have rolled into.
No. I'm on board.
Well, first things first, with the World Health Organization losing their mind over coronavirus at the moment, and quite rightly so, the Chinese Grand Prix for this year has been postponed. And I got a message from...
So it's supposed to be in April?
It's supposed to be in April. I got a message from my best man, Clifty, the other day that just said, bloody hell, it's a good thing that we went last year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just thinking
frankly, we wouldn't have gone this year anyway because it wouldn't have been the 1000th race, but... so the Chinese Grand Prix has been postponed. At the moment, the Vietnamese Grand Prix, which he is going to with his dad, is under a question mark because it's only...
When's that?
That's the weekend before, I think, or 2 weeks before. It's in April as well.
Oh, right, okay.
And they're only 100 miles or so from the Chinese border, and there's a town apparently that's 20 miles away from Hanoi, which is in lockdown at the moment as well, which is where the race is supposed to be.
Okay.
The talk that I heard yesterday, and I really, really hope it happens, I don't think it will, but I really hope it does, is that Imola could stand in.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't follow Formula One, Imola was a track. It's in Italy. It's near Bologna. It's near Bologna in Italy. But because there is already an Italian Grand Prix at Monza, it goes under the banner of San Marino Grand Prix. Now, there is a racetrack in San Marino, but it's not up to Formula One standards. Imola, classic track, fast, home of Ferrari. It's probably more of a home to Ferrari than Monza is. It's also associated with tragedy. Ayrton Senna, arguably the greatest driver of all time, was killed while leading the race there in '94, the day after Roland Ratzenberger was killed in qualifying. So Formula One had gone 12 years at that point without a death at a race meet, and then there was two in 2 days, arguably the greatest of all time.
Not to mention Rubens Barrichello's horrible crash. Which is horrible, but he luckily survived.
For probably the best narration of that weekend and Senna's career as a whole, go and watch the film Senna. It was released in 2010. It's a fantastic movie. Anyway, they're talking about bringing Imola back into standing for those races. I think that would be amazing. Yeah. I love that track. It's not the most entertaining when it comes to overtaking or anything like that, but it flows.
Yeah, and they've changed it a little bit now.
It's changed a little bit, so it's got a bit more of that flowing feature back. But I'd love to see that. Now, Formula One car launches have been happening in the last week or so. There's a couple of changes out there. Williams have got a bit of red on their car again, which historically hasn't been great for them. But when you finish that far behind, it's...
I saw some posts on Reddit about a pink livery that got unveiled.
So, Racing Point. They've been pink for a couple of years when they were Force India turned into Racing Point, and I think they might be having a name change as Aston Martin.
They go to Aston Martin next
year. Another name change, Toro Rosso, which was Red Bull's junior team. Toro Rosso, of course, Italian for Red Bull. That's how it got the name. Have changed their name for...
I didn't know you were bilingual.
Buongiorno, piacere di conoscerla.
Oh, okay.
Wow. He knows more words.
I'm not, but...
Je parle un petit peu français aussi.
Oh, French.
Wow.
Guten Morgen.
German.
Ich war geboren in Deutschland. Anyway, stop it.
Okay.
Yeah, so another name change. Toro Rosso are now AlphaTauri, and they have, basically just means first bull. Alpha, one Tauri, Taurus, bull. So they're still a Red Bull Junior feeder team, but they've changed their livery, they've changed their name to reflect that they're progressing.
Right. Okay.
In terms of driver lineups, it's pretty much as it was last year. Robert Kubica goes out for Williams. And, sorry, who came in?
That was a good question.
I've forgotten who come in. That's terrible. Renault as well. Hulkenberg is out and Ocon is in. Other than that, it's pretty much the same all the way through the driver roster.
Next year is going to be an interesting year when guys, there's a few big names off contract.
Yeah. Now I personally, and I've written about this, I've said about this. It's not a personal thing, but I just personally don't think that Romain Grosjean should be in Formula One anymore. I think he's had his chance. I think he's.
But doesn't it make it exciting because you know that someone is going to crash or do something stupid?
Nick, you may not believe this, but last year or year before in Azerbaijan, he managed to crash under the safety car because he lit up his rear tyres and just dove into a wall and then came on the radio and said, I think Ericsson hit me.
No.
And it shows on the replay that there was no one near you.
That was just you, mate.
Just you being useless.
Just you, mate.
Fantastic.
Formula One kicks off in Melbourne in March in a few weeks' time. We've got a couple of shows before that race, so I'm sure that we'll talk about it again. I'm still umming and ahhing as to whether I can get down there and go to it or not. Let's be honest, probably not, but I'll watch it on TV anyway. Lewis Hamilton feeling stronger than ever, he says, physically and mentally on another level. I think Max Verstappen's very...
About to earn a big pay packet too.
Yeah, Max Verstappen's very optimistic about Red Bull's chances this year. Ferrari are Ferrari. They've got to do something.
Who knows what they're going to do.
Yeah, and the Williams, like I say, it's got flashes of red in it. Well, historically, they've only ever done well in a blue car, but that didn't work for them last year.
So you should just paint it whatever colour, just to do whatever goes. Well, red does go faster, doesn't it?
It does. Allegedly.
It does.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It does go faster.
So, that's a bit of a loose wrap-up of the Formula One. We'll probably talk about...
Probably, and apparently it's probably going to be another tough year for Dan Ricciardo, unfortunately, at Renault.
Yeah, well, that's sort of not to be... that's not unexpected just because the rule changes between last year and this year are virtually nil. So, there's a little bit of status quo. You can catch up, but realistically, Renault are aiming towards the 2021, which is why Ricciardo moved there in the first place. With the new rule changes, he was hoping to do a Hamilton.
But didn't sign a contract past 2021.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I think he probably will. Because realistically, where else can he go? I know there's...
It depends on Vettel and where Vettel goes. If Vettel stays or if he retires and he moves on, there might be a set at Ferrari. It depends on...
Vettel's had the conversation about going back to Red Bull,
well, yes, so. Yeah. So who's he? Well, that would be interesting. I'm not sure how will he go against Verstappen in the team. That'd be interesting. It's not if Hamilton stays at Mercedes or does he go to McLaren? It goes to Ferrari.
I personally would love to see Hamilton in a Ferrari. I just don't know that it will happen. He's been with Mercedes since year dot. But then
depends where Bottas goes if Mercedes keep him. So lots of stuff happening. So that will be interesting.
No, we'll keep an eye on that through the season.
Winter testing coming up, so that'll be interesting to see who's doing what there.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of sandbagging in that. Anyway, I think we're probably coming towards the end of our time here. So if there's anything else that you want to wrap up on, we'll give the socials out in a second as well.
Yeah, no, do that.
No way. All right. The usual hashtag KSC podcast, Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports, Twitter at Kingsgrove Sports. Still can't handle that plural. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, KSCpodcast.com. Thank you very much today, Stu.
Thank you, Charlie.
No worries. Producer Nick over in the corner.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening to us.
See you next time.